Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101. Uh, Browsing up our early games, post-game show, and Sunday and early late games update show. I know I'm sorry I didn't get to do a pregame show and earlier, but we do have a lot of NFL scores to get to and a lot of NFL games, and including today's Browns game, which was very emotional. And we have to say goodbye to a Cleveland sportscasting legend who we just lost yesterday. We'll get to all that, but first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 uh, Week 8 NFL trivia question. It is a Ravens, the Browns' opponent's trivia question. Who was the head coach of the Ravens in 2005? We'll have the answer later on the podcast. Uh, Well, a very emotional game today for the Browns at Brown Stadium. Jameis Winston threw a 38-yard touchdown pass, his third of the game to Cedric Tillman, who got his first two touchdowns of his career today, with 59 seconds left, as the Cleveland Browns stunned Lamar Jackson on the Baltimore Ravens, 29 to 24 on today at Huntington Bank Field to snap a five-game losing streak and go to 2-6 on the season, making his first start in 2 years on replacing injured starter Deshaun Watson. Watson helped the Browns, who are now, as I said, 2-6, take down their AFC North rival, but only after surviving a late comeback attempt by Jackson, who drove the Ravens who fall to 5-3 to Cleveland's 24 in the final seconds. Jackson brought time to avoid sacks and threw two incompletions into the end zone. The second to Jay Flowers as time expired. And the following play, Jackson threw his helmet in anger in front of Baltimore's bench as the Ravens' five-game winning streak ended with a surprising loss. Winston finished 27 of 41 carries and attempts for 334 yards. In his first start since September 5th, 2022 for New Orleans, the 30-year-old took over Cleveland's offense this week after Watson suffered an season-ending Achilles tendon injury rupture a week ago. And Winston did what Watson couldn't, as the Browns scored their most points in the season, and he eclipsed 300 yards passing, something his teammate hasn't done in 19 starts over 3 seasons in Cleveland. Jackson completed 23 of 38 passes for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had a 2-yard run for Baltimore. The 3-yard TD run for Baltimore, the 99th of his career. Henry's score with 2:36 left gave the Ravens a 1-point, 24 to 23 lead, but Winston, who signed a 1-year deal as a free agent in March, got some help from Baltimore safety Kyle Hamilton on the game-winning drive. Winston overthrew Elijah Moore on first down, and Hamilton was in perfect position to make the interception, but had the ball bounce out of his hands, giving new life on the next play. Winston lofted a deep ball down the middle to Tillman, who also caught a 22-yard TD pass in the third quarter before Cleveland put together the last rally. Jackson had engineered a 6-play, 91-yard scoring drive with his legs and arms. Henry finished that possession. With his short TD burst to tie Hall of Famer Barry Sanders for 10th place on the career scoring list. Winston's performance, uh, uh, he also had a 23-yard TD pass to David Njoku, gives the Browns some hope in a season that was going sideways. Watson's injury and surgery had cast a pall over the team on Saturday, and beloved play-by-play announcer, the legendary voice of the Cleveland Browns, and nearly 40 years at WKYC's Channel 3, uh, uh, sportscasting legend Jim Donovan died following a long battle with cancer. Uh, Dustin Hopkins kicked field goals of 28, 33, and 48 yards for the Browns. Uh, the Ravens, who came in averaging a league best 461.4 yards per game, made some uncharacteristic mistakes. But Justin Tucker uh, missed a 50-yard field goal. Jackson threw a TD passes to wide receiver Nelson Aguilar, and tight end Mark Andrews. We have one scary moment. Browns linebacker Jeremiah Orzwu-Kormoa was immobilized on a backbone and carted off late in the third quarter. The team said he was taken to the hospital with a neck injury, but has movement in his extremities. Orzwu-Kormoa took the brunt of a hit while trying to tackle Henry on a running play. His teammates surrounded Orzwu-Kormoa as he was treated on the field. He raised his fist to salute cheering fans as he was driven off. Now, besides that, Ravens defensive end Brent Urban sustained a concussion in the first quarter. Uh, 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 Nose tackle Michael Pierce had a calf injury, limped off in the second quarter and didn't return. And for the Browns, tops quarterback Denzel Ward went into the locker room midway through the third quarter for further evaluation for a possible concussion. Ward has a history of head injuries with 5 known concussions during his NFL career. Well, the Ravens will hopefully regroup and get a win, and hopefully try to get a win over Denver next Sunday. And the Browns host the Browns host the Los Angeles Chargers on next Sunday on November 3rd. So I gotta give the game balls. So I'll do that in a minute. But right now, I gotta give you the answer. I'm gonna reveal it right now to today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Week 8 trivia question, and it is a Ravens trivia question. The Browns' opponent. Who was the head coach of the Ravens in 2005? And if you said Brian Billick, you are correct. Billick led the Ravens to a win in Super Bowl 35. And I'll have have another question on my next podcast, which will be for tomorrow's Monday Night Football game. Uh, so, uh, so I got to give the balls to the game balls. Actually, I'm gonna just to Jameis Winston, 27 of 41 carries and attempts, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, 52 yards, 16 attempts. And Cedric Tillman, 7 receptions, first 2 touchdowns of his career, and 99 yards. And I am also going to give one to Jerry Jeudy because he had 8 yards today. And I'm going to give one to Dustin Hopkins. I'm going to give one to him for making his field goals today. And so, and I want to give a special game ball to Jim Donovan, because this win was for him today. A very emotional win for Jim Donovan. And Ken Dorsey calling the plays. And this was another change that was made. And these changes, this should have happened a lot sooner, a long time ago. They really should have. Right now, I want to get to the early game scores right now, and then we'll get to the late games update. Uh, First, the Browns beat the Ravens 29-24. The Detroit Lions manhandled the Tennessee Titans 52-14 today. I give it to Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, the game balls. Oh, and I took Baltimore, and so did my brother-in-law, Eric Coyle. We both lost on that one. And I took Detroit, and my brother-in-law did too, and we both won on that one. The Houston Texans beat the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil and HR and Energy Stadium in Houston today. Excuse me, 23-20, and I give it to C.J. Stroud and the game ball to C.J. Stroud and the Texans. The game balls too. The Green Bay Packers beat the Jacksonville Jaguars by a field goal at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, 30-27. I give it to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. I give the game balls to them. And I took Houston. Whoa. And I took Houston for the Texans Colts game. I won on that one. So did my brother-in-law Eric Coyle. He took the Texans. And I took Green Bay, and so did my brother-in-law. We both won on that one. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Miami Dolphins by 28-27 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And Tagovailoa did play today. He did return. And I give it to Kyler Murray and Arizona Cardinals. And I took Miami and lost. My brother-in-law took Miami and lost as well. And the New York Jets come back and beat the New York Jets by a field goal in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium, 25-22. I give it to Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots, the game balls. And I took the Jets and lost. My brother-in-law took the Patriots and won. So we split on that one. We didn't agree on that one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons, excuse me, beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are banged up with injuries. 31-26. I give it to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, the game balls. I took Atlanta, and so did my brother-in-law. We both won on that one. And the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, 37-17. And boy, Cincinnati struggled offensively and defensively today in this game. I took Philly and won. My brother-in-law took the Bengals and lost on that one. Now to give you a late games update. This is the late games update show, so I'll give you the late games update right now. The Los Angeles Chargers are up on the Saints at halftime, 9-5. Very low scoring affair. It's a game of field goals right now and one safety. And I took the Chargers. My brother-in-law took the Saints. That's another one we didn't agree on. I took the Chargers. My brother-in-law took the Saints. That's one we didn't agree on. The Buffalo Bills are up on the Seattle Seahawks 14-3 in the third quarter with 8:41 to go. And I took Buffalo, so did my brother-in-law. Washington, the Commanders are up on the Chicago Bears 9-0 at Northwestern Stadium in Maryland. And I took the Bears, and so did my brother-in-law. The Kansas City Chiefs are up on actually, before we get to that one, the Denver Broncos are all over the Carolina Panthers in the second quarter with a minute 3 to go till halftime, 21-7. Fourth and 9 to Carolina 31. Carolina has the ball. And I took Denver. I took the Broncos. My brother-in-law took the Eric Oil took the Panthers. And rounding out the late afternoon games, 4 o'clock games, the Kansas City Chiefs are up by a touchdown at halftime against the Raiders, 17-10. I took Kansas City. My brother-in-law took Eric Oil took the Raiders. And for tonight's Sunday night game, which is the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, I took the 49ers. My brother-in-law took the Cowboys. And Monday Night Football tomorrow night will be the Giants and Steelers at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. I took the Steelers. My brother-in-law took the Giants. We have 6 that we don't agree on. So right now, I am 5-4 right now. And right now, I want to turn things over here. I want to just, heard me mention that we lost the Browns legend, Jim Donovan, who was the voice of the Cleveland Browns for 25 years and spent almost 40 years as sports director at WKYC Channel 3. And this game remained wonderfully emotionally about the games he was calling, while never losing his professionalism. And we know he passed away yesterday after a battle with cancer. He was 68 years old. Donovan was a passionate figure in the press box and in an endearing voice to fans whom he shared the highlights of, and all too often dominating lean moments over the years. He was a consistent guide to legions of Browns fans, to legends of Browns fans, Browns fans, faithful and educating, entertaining them, and at times metaphor, metaphor, meta, metaphorically holding their hands through a lot of losses and too few postseason appearances. A litany of coaches came and went, but Donovan remained a fixture behind the microphone, calling games with former analyst and ex-Browns lineman Doug Deacon. The two fell into a conversational rhythm. Jimmy lived to do the games. That was Jimmy's life, Deacon said. He was a perfectionist. He was he would listen to the games afterward, critiquing himself. I couldn't do that. I didn't want to hear myself during the games. He would be standing up, jumping up and down like he had a snake in his pants. I'll be watching him and laughing, and I'd forget I was on the air with him. Then he'd say, "Doug, what about that play?" And Donovan had been rejoicing and commiserating with fans since the team returned from a hiatus in 1999. He was the sole play-by-play radio voice until he stepped down before this season. He retired from WKYC Channel 3 in June after almost 40 years as sports and news anchor. 2 months later, he announced his cancer had returned. Then in August, he made the heart-wrenching decision to step away from the Browns gig. In a note to fans this year, Donovan talked about vowing to continue the fight against cancer and wrote, "Not a day has gone by when I haven't paused and been so proud to to be the voice of the Browns. He ended his notes saying, "Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. It's been an honor." And it has been an honor. Uh, there will never be another Jim Donovan, said Nick Camino, who this year was named Donovan's successor as sports director at WKYC. His passion for the Cleveland Browns and all of our sports teams was unmatched. Getting an opportunity to work with Jimmy the last 5.5 years is something the thing I will never forget and will always cherish. Cleveland uh, has been blessed to have some great broadcasters, and Jim Donovan belongs at the very top. In radio and television, the difference between great and unlistenable announcing can be traced through the amount of preparation before the microphone is turned on, and Donovan came prepared. He started his preparation, on Wednesday, often putting in hours after getting home from the 11 p.m. newscast on Mondays. He would listen to the game's broadcast 3 times, each looking for different issues uh, of ways to improve. I I always do the game like I'm doing it for two people driving in the car down the highway. He said in 2006. Plain dealer in a 2006 plain dealer story. Excuse me. Uh, you want to bring the game to them, and that's how you did it. How you do it. Excuse me. He was also a solid variety of roles. He spent 10 hours on the air, anchoring the Cavs and Victory Parade coverage in 2016. Once after an anchor became ill, Donovan wound up doing election coverage seamlessly. So, and uh, and uh, Donovan was born in Boston and raised in a working class Irish Catholic family in Milton, Massachusetts. As a youngster, he dreamed of calling Boston Bruins games before the days of streaming when radio signals could pull in games to clear nights from all over the country. Donovan could listen to the men doing the job aspired to aspire to do. He inspired to do. Excuse me. Uh, Late night out of town games filtered into his transistor radio. He even recalled hearing Joe Tate call Cavs games. And that's the late, great Joe Tate. He earned a degree in broadcast journalism from Boston University. His start in the business came at a station in St. Cloud, Minnesota, 1,500 miles from his home. Donovan then swung back east, going to Burlington, Vermont, where he called St. Michael's College basketball and Class AA baseball games for the precursor for the precursor of the Akron uh, Rubber Ducks. His next stop would be Cleveland, then, as seen as a launching point market for folks in the industry. NBC's WKYC had the rights to a couple of Browns games, and Donovan found himself as a number 3 man supporting Gibbs Shanley and Reggie Rucker. That was 1985, and Donovan's career was about to take off. His versatile, never pigeonholed his work. He called both kinds of football, the American version with NBC's coverage in World Cup soccer. In 1986, the Plain Dealer's James Ewinger reported Donovan was named 6 p.m. sports anchor at WKYC. Donovan, he wrote, has given the station its most thorough and embroidered, sports coverage since he was hired a year ago. In 1999, Donovan was named voice of the Browns. In those 25 years, the Browns had 21 losing seasons. He racked up accolades to winning Emmys, Cleveland Press Club, All Ohio Best Sportscaster, and Cleveland Sports Awards Lifetime Achievement Honors. He's a multiple Halls of Fame for his broadcasting. His football broadcasting drew positive reviews from media critics and fans. In 2005, a Plain Dealer reader poll asked which local sports anchor had the most credibility. Donovan came out on top. His football broadcasting drew he was an iconic voice of Cleveland sports, in the Cleveland sports world. Excuse me, of as anyone, as steady, as prepared as Tom Hamilton calling Guardians games, and a known figure as Tate on the Cavaliers sidelines. Donovan, who was a pro in the booth, he eschewed gimmicks and salarious behavior, instead relying on homework before he stepped into the booth. His excitement grew every time Nick Chubb pounded through the line for his first down, or when one of the myriad quarterbacks rolled out and competed for a first down pass. Rolled out and competed for a first down pass. Excuse me. He knew football and he knew broadcasting, but as Cleveland.com columnist Terry Pluto wrote in September, he does bleed orange and brown. Donovan's most famous call, arguably, came on December 29, 2002, as the Browns hosted the Atlanta Falcons in the final week of the regular season to reach the playoffs. Needed to win. The Browns needed to win. Late in the game, with a 1-point lead, William Green took a handoff to Kelly Holcomb and juked his way through a hole, speeding downfield, yard line after yard line. As he ran, Donovan's voice rose excitedly. He threw the first down, 40, 50, 40, 45, 40. Run, William, run. The Browns won 24-16. Unfortunately, his parallel life to much of his time calling Browns games involved career. After feeling tired in 2000 and being tested, Donovan learned he had CLL, chronic hypocritic leukemia. He was familiar with it. His father and uncle were diagnosed with it. After having cancer for 2 years, he began enduring week-long chemotherapy, sessions for 6 months. It crashed the cancer for a while in 2005. It came back, and he initially fought back when it told he needed to a bone marrow transplant. But the tipping point came in 2009 before the Browns Chiefs game in Kansas City. Despite a temperature of mudging near 103 degrees, despite feeling horrible, despite Andre not ready to step in if need be. Donovan pushed on. He did the game. Uh, he had the transplant on June 7th, 2011. Then, if Donovan weren't dealing with enough medically, his cancerous mole was found on his ear. For someone with an already weakened immune system, that's dangerous, and he pushed on. Those who worked with him, like Deacon and not, and how Donovan rarely complained Saturday, not remembered Donovan as a kind mentor. I did the Browns games with him for 7 years. The Browns red zone for 10. Not said I was in my 20s when I got the Browns job, rough around the edges. Jimmy taught me how to prepare. He taught me how to be humble and ask others for help in terms of how to pronounce names and get information. He never, uh, he never uh, he never big timed me, and he easily could have done that. That's another great part of Jimmy, how he treated others so well. On September 22nd, the team honored Donovan and former kicker Phil Dawson into the Browns legends. Donovan and pioneering Hall of Fame coach Paul Brown are the only two players to be honored as Cleveland Browns legends. In a faith and you column in September, Pluto uh, se- secondly summoned, summed, excuse me, his personal feelings about Donovan. The man he wrote is a combination of courage and dignity. Fans heard a fun announcer. Anyone truly close to Donovan saw him as tough. Jimmy is one of the best ones, one of the best, one of the toughest people I've ever been around. That mirrors what Donovan, Donovan's counterpart on the air for the Cleveland Guardians and said Saturday. I don't know how anyone could have been more courageous or t- uh, uh, tenacious. Obviously, we knew the fight Jim was in for. Hamilton said. The thing about Jim, he jumps, is that he jumps out at you. What a fighter he was. And he never really let you know how tough the battle was. It wasn't about him. He didn't want to make it about him. He fought that battle pretty privately. I have so much admiration for him, not only as a broadcaster and what uh, a pro he was, and was a great play-by-play guy, and he was the Browns he was for the Browns, but the kind of person he was. Donovan leaves behind his wife Cheryl and daughter Megan. I know how dedicated he was to Cheryl and Megan. That were everything to him. They were everything to him. Excuse me. As important as the Browns were, they never got close to what Cheryl and Megan were to him. Hamilton said. And I just want to say, because he was one of the best, he was always one of my favorites. This was a emotional day, Browns team, as you know. Browns won today, 29-24, and this win was for Jimmy Donovan. And Jimmy, and my thoughts and prayers go out to his wife Cheryl and his daughter Megan. And Cheryl, Megan, my thoughts and my family's thoughts and prayers are with you. during this difficult time. We are thinking of you, and Jimmy will forever be looking down and smiling in your hearts. And also, to everybody at who we worked with him at WKYC Channel 3, my thoughts and prayers are with you, and so is my family's. And to the Cleveland Browns organization, with him being the voice of it, our thoughts and prayers are with you, because this win was for Jimmy Donovan today. So, Jimmy, you will be missed, buddy. You were one of the best, and you will never be forgotten, buddy. You are a Cleveland sports casting legend, and you will never be forgotten. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 Browns NFL early games, post game show, and late games update show. I'll be back with the late games with the Scott Sports 101 late games post game show and Sunday Night Football preview show once the games between the late games, all the late afternoon games have concluded. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. The Browns win 29-24. The win goes to Jim Donovan. It was for him who passed away, losing his battle with cancer. He was 68 years old. You will never be forgotten, Jimmy. And as I always say, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.